Growing up in the 20th century meant following a rigid, often nonsensical set of parental rules. These strict opinions covered daily habits and behaviors, with consequences ranging from lectures to simply following tradition without question. Looking back, these oddly intense and specific rules shaped our childhood memories. This video revisits those weirdly strict parental rules that defined growing up and hinted at adulthood. Turning off lights the moment you left a room was treated like a matter of national importance. Parents acted as if every glowing bulb was draining the family fortune in real time. You could be gone for 5 seconds and still hear someone yell for you to come back and switch it off. It did not matter if you were coming right back or if the room was still in use. Lights on meant waste, and waste was unacceptable. Kids learned to move through the house in near darkness, flipping switches with precision. This rule was less about electricity and more about discipline. It taught awareness, responsibility, and the idea that resources were limited. Even today, many adults still feel a twinge of guilt leaving a light on. And while lights were serious business, nothing caused more fear than accidentally touching the next forbidden household control. Touching the thermostat was one of the fastest ways to get into trouble. Parents guarded it like a sacred object. It did not matter if the house was freezing or unbearably hot. The temperature was set, and it stayed that way. Kids were told touching it could break it, waste money, or somehow ruin the entire heating system. Many homes had strict temperature rules depending on the season. Sweaters were worn indoors, fans were used strategically, complaints were ignored. This rule taught kids endurance and patience, even if it felt unreasonable. To this day, many adults hesitate before adjusting a thermostat, hearing their parents' voice in their head. And while temperature was controlled tightly, how you behaved at the dinner table mattered just as much. Keeping elbows off the dinner table was non-negotiable. Parents watched closely, correcting posture mid-meal. Sitting up straight was a sign of respect, and slouching was frowned upon. Meals were about manners as much as food. Kids learned quickly how to balance comfort with expectation. This rule was enforced even during casual dinners. It taught awareness of body language and presentation. Even when eating alone later in life, many people still instinctively keep their elbows tucked in. And as strict as table manners were, wasting food was considered an even greater offense. Being forced to eat everything on your plate was a rule many kids remember clearly. Parents believed finishing your food showed gratitude and respect. It did not matter if you disliked it or were already full. Leaving food behind was unacceptable. Kids sat at tables long after meals ended, staring at vegetables they did not want. This rule was rooted in scarcity and appreciation. It taught perseverance, even if it sometimes backfired. Many adults today still struggle with finishing portions out of habit, and once dinner was over, another strict rule followed kids into the living room. Sitting too close to the television was treated like a health emergency. Parents warned it would ruin your eyes or damage the screen. Kids were constantly told to move back. The correct distance felt arbitrary, but was enforced consistently. This rule taught moderation and awareness of limits. Even now, many people adjust their distance without thinking. And as television rules were enforced, bedtime rules were waiting just around the corner. Answering the phone properly was treated like a test of character. When the phone rang, kids were expected to stop whatever they were doing and answer calmly and politely. Sloppy greetings were corrected immediately. You did not say hello casually. You said hello clearly, sometimes followed by the family name. Parents believed the way you answered reflected the entire household. Hanging up correctly mattered too. Slamming the phone down was unacceptable. You learned to speak clearly, listen carefully, and take messages seriously. Even caller mistakes were handled formally. This rule taught communication skills early, even if it felt intimidating. Many adults today still answer unknown calls with a more serious tone than necessary, and once phone behavior was controlled, Another kitchen-related rule waited close by. Keeping the refrigerator door closed while deciding was strictly enforced. Parents believed every open second wasted cold air and money. Kids were told to know exactly what they wanted before opening it. Standing there staring inside was guaranteed to cause frustration. This rule taught decisiveness and efficiency. You learned to plan snacks in your head before acting. Even today, many adults still feel rushed when opening the refrigerator, and while food access was controlled, car behavior came with its own strict expectations. Never opening the car door until an adult said so was a safety rule that felt serious. Kids sat quietly, waiting for permission even after the car stopped. Parents feared traffic, sudden movement, or accidents. This rule taught patience and awareness. You learned to stay still and listen. Many adults still pause before exiting vehicles out of habit, and once outside the car, another household rule followed you indoors. Using good china only for special occasions was deeply ingrained. Plates and cups were reserved for holidays and guests. Kids were warned never to touch them. These items symbolized importance and respect. Everyday meals used simpler dishes. This rule taught value and preservation. Even now, many people own dishes they rarely use, and once dinnerware rules were learned, television rules returned again. Not changing the television channel without permission was serious business. Parents controlled viewing choices carefully. You asked before touching the dial. Channels were chosen deliberately. This rule taught respect for shared space. Even now, some adults hesitate before changing channels, and as screens were regulated, bedtime rules waited close behind. Being home before the streetlights came on was a rule understood without explanation. Parents did not give exact times or warnings. When the lights flickered on, that was your signal. You dropped whatever you were doing and headed home, fast. It did not matter if the game was unfinished or the conversation was important. Streetlights meant time was up. This rule taught time awareness and responsibility without clocks or phones. Kids learned to judge the fading daylight instinctively. Being late brought consequences, even if you were only a few minutes behind. Many adults still feel an internal clock trigger at dusk because of this rule. And once you made it home in time, another rule waited at the front door. Taking shoes off inside the house was strictly enforced in many homes. Parents did not want dirt tracked through clean floors. Kids learned to kick shoes off immediately, sometimes lining them up neatly by the door. Forgetting meant a sharp reminder. This rule taught cleanliness and respect for shared space. Even today, many adults automatically remove shoes when entering a home. And once you were inside and settled, dinner table rules quickly came back into focus. Keeping elbows off the table was only part of a larger rule about posture. Sitting up straight mattered. Slouching was corrected instantly. Parents believed posture showed discipline and respect. Meals were treated like formal events, even on regular nights. Kids balanced discomfort with expectation. This rule followed children into adulthood, showing up in meetings and public settings. And as posture was monitored closely, wasting food remained a constant concern. Wasting water while brushing teeth was considered careless behavior. Parents reminded kids to turn off the tap immediately. Long-running water was unacceptable. This rule taught conservation and awareness. Kids learned to multitask efficiently. Many adults still feel uneasy hearing water run unnecessarily. And once bathroom habits were controlled, laundry rules were not far behind. Folding towels a very specific way was strangely important. Parents insisted there was a correct method. Deviating meant refolding everything. This rule taught attention to detail and consistency. Even now, many adults fold towels the same way they learned as kids, and with chores done properly, bedtime routines became the next focus. Making long-distance phone calls was treated like a financial risk. Parents reminded kids constantly that calling outside the local area cost real money. You were told never to dial certain numbers without permission. Conversations were kept short and purposeful. Kids learned to ask first and explain why the call mattered. This rule taught awareness of cost and planning. Even today, some adults feel a moment of hesitation before making calls, despite unlimited plans. And while phones were monitored carefully, how you closed doors mattered just as much. Closing doors gently was a rule rooted in respect and quiet. Slamming doors was seen as rude and disruptive. Parents corrected it immediately. You learned to turn handles carefully and guide doors shut softly. This rule taught mindfulness and control. Even emotional reactions were expected to be restrained. Many adults still close doors quietly out of habit. And once doors were handled properly, another quiet time rule came into play. Respecting nap time was sacred. During certain hours, the house had to remain quiet. Running, yelling, or loud television were not allowed. Kids learned to entertain themselves silently. This rule taught patience and consideration for others. Even now, many adults associate afternoon quiet with comfort. And once silence was maintained, order in personal spaces became important. Keeping bedrooms clean for surprise visitors was a constant expectation. Parents warned that guests could arrive at any moment. Beds were made daily. Toys were put away. This rule taught readiness and discipline. Even today, many adults tidy up instinctively. And once personal spaces were controlled, social rules followed closely. Writing thank you notes for every gift was non-negotiable. Parents believed gratitude had to be expressed properly and promptly. Handwritten notes were required. This rule taught appreciation and communication. Many adults still feel compelled to send messages of thanks. And as manners were reinforced, movement inside the house had its own rules. Running inside the house was treated like a serious offense. Parents believed it was dangerous, disrespectful, and a fast way to break something expensive. Even if the house was empty and spacious, running was forbidden. Kids learned to move carefully, especially near corners and furniture. The rule was enforced with reminders about injuries, broken lamps, or cracked walls. It taught self-control and spatial awareness. Even excitement had limits indoors. Many adults still instinctively slow their pace when entering a house. And while movement was restricted inside, carrying things came with its own expectations. Using both hands to carry food or drinks was a rule meant to prevent disaster. Parents insisted that one-handed carrying led to spills. Kids were reminded to support plates properly and hold cups carefully. Dropping food was considered careless. This rule taught responsibility and caution. Even now, many adults carry items with extra care. And while food safety mattered, the car introduced another layer of strict control. Not touching the radio dial in the car was absolutely enforced. Parents controlled the music and volume completely. Kids were warned not to adjust anything. Changing stations without permission was unacceptable. This rule taught respect for shared space and authority. Even today, some adults hesitate before touching car controls, and once the car ride ended, home security rules took over. Keeping doors locked at all times was drilled into kids early. Parents worried about safety constantly. Doors were checked repeatedly. Kids learned to lock up immediately after entering or leaving. This rule taught vigilance and awareness. Many adults still double-check locks, and while safety was critical, social respect mattered just as much. Calling adults Mr. or Mrs. was non-negotiable. First names were considered disrespectful. Kids practiced formal address carefully. This rule taught manners and hierarchy. Even today, many adults instinctively use titles. And as respect was enforced, kitchen rules were waiting close by. Staying out of the kitchen while adults cooked was strictly enforced. Parents did not want interruptions or accidents. Kids were told to wait patiently. This rule taught boundaries and patience. And once dinner was ready, screen time rules returned again. Not sitting too close to the television was treated like a health mandate. Parents warned that your eyes would be damaged permanently if you sat too near the screen. Kids were told to move back again and again, even if the picture was hard to see. The correct distance was never clearly defined, but parents always knew when you were too close. This rule taught moderation and physical awareness. Many adults today still instinctively adjust their distance from screens without thinking about it. And while television distance mattered, how toys were handled mattered just as much. Sharing toys properly and fairly was strictly enforced. Parents monitored play closely, stepping in at the first sign of conflict. Taking turns was mandatory. Hoarding toys or refusing to share was not tolerated. Kids learned negotiation, patience, and compromise through this rule. Even personal favorites were expected to be shared. This rule shaped social skills and empathy, even when it caused frustration. Many adults still feel an obligation to share space and resources because of this early lesson. And while playtime had rules, snack time had even more. Only certain snacks allowed before dinner was a daily battle. Parents controlled snack choices carefully to protect appetites. Eating too close to dinner was forbidden. Kids learned to ask permission and accept limits. This rule taught timing and self-control. Even now, many adults think twice before snacking late. And while eating was regulated, how questions were answered mattered too. Answering questions with yes, mom, or sir was expected in many homes. Respectful language was non-negotiable. Casual responses were corrected immediately. This rule taught politeness and attentiveness. Even today, many adults instinctively respond formally. And as language was monitored, bedtime rules closed out the day. Going to bed at a strict time, no matter what, was the final rule of the day. It did not matter if you were not tired. Bedtime was bedtime. This rule taught routine and discipline. Many adults still keep strict sleep schedules, and looking back, these rules shaped more than we realized. If one of these rules instantly brought your parents' voice back into your head, let us know which one ruled your house in the comments. Like the video and subscribe so we can keep revisiting the everyday moments that shaped growing up in the 20th century.